Hi, this is Jason Romero, and I'm here with Richard Hunter, a great friend of mine, for a conversation and a little bit of motivation for your Monday. So, Richard, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's 90 degrees in California, and happy to sit here and talk to my buddy in Colorado.
That's a good
Isn't that
point.
awesome?
I'm in Colorado, and Richard's in Folsom, California. I look up to Richard for a variety of different things, but one of the things really is the power of his perspective and having a perspective on life. I'm just going to set up our relationship. I have this degenerative eye disease, and so does Richard. We have the same eye disease. It's called retinitis pigmentosa. Can you tell me a little bit about your eyesight, first of all, and your journey and kind of what you see or what you don't see?
Yeah, so since I first met you, Jason, my vision has gotten a lot worse. So I'm definitely further along in my vision loss journey at this point than you are. Now I can't even see the ground. And so I have a little bit better than light perception. I can't see any type of print. I can't see pictures, but I can see kind of reflections off of things and blobs if things are really big or bright. When I was first diagnosed with RP, I was a second lieutenant in the Marines, and I wanted to be a Marine Corps officer, and I had to work really hard to hit that goal. And then, here I was, a young second lieutenant in Quantico, Virginia, and they noticed an abnormality in my eye. And then I was diagnosed with this eye disease that nobody in my family had, and yet they said it was hereditary. And it was like getting a death sentence at the time, because they said, you're going to be discharged.
What's one truth that you learned from that diagnosis when you were a second lieutenant in the Marines?
The one truth for me right then was a connection to my faith. And I didn't really have a personal faith prior to that. Some seeds have been planted in my life, but in a very low moment, in a very anxious moment, in a very desperate moment, I turned to prayer. And I needed some peace. I needed some calm. And I was just overcome with a huge sense of peace and calmness. And I was able to go to sleep.
How important is hope to you, and how has having hope helped you throughout your life?
Well, wow, boy, that's a biggie. I mean, like I said, sometimes you have to put the perspective outside of yourself. This hope thing for me was, I want to run in the California International Marathon that year, 5 months and 3 days after my accident, because I wanted to pay respect and tribute to these guys who had been through so much for our country, and yet they were persevering, and I was going to do it to honor them. Having that hope, putting the focus outside of myself, it gave me purpose to, like, wow, I'm out here, this hurts, but there's a purpose behind it.
What advice do you give other people who are struggling with purpose, that are floundering, kind of figure out, I want to do something, but I really don't have a way. Like, how do you coach other people to find their purpose? What's your advice?
Well, part of the things I think people have to take a close look on what they're actually passionate about. What resonates with them? What is important to you? What do you really, really enjoy doing? And then what are the things, when you look at your own skill set, what do I need to learn, in order to move forward? And who else could potentially be impacted by this? So I felt like such a failure. I was so embarrassed, and because I had to fail in front of my guide, and I'm not the type of person who wants to fail in front of people. I want to practice by myself. I didn't like public failure, and I felt so humiliated. And I went home, and I was standing in the shower, and I had tears streaming down my face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this. And my wife said, she said, if this were easy, everybody would do it. And for whatever reason, that comment by her flipped the switch in my head.
Let me switch. You've alluded to your kids a few times.
Yeah.
What has being a father taught you?
Oh boy. I'm a big believer that I can learn from everyone. And even from the time my kids are, little kids, I can learn from them how they handle situations and everything else. So so as a parent, I think for me, there's this humbleness to know that your kids, you don't just have something to offer your kids, but if you listen to your kids, you can learn from them.
How have your kids taken your loss of eyesight?
One of the things that was really rewarding for me early on was that when my daughter Kirsten, who's now 22 years old, this reporter wanted to talk to her. And the reporter asked Kirsten, are you worried that you might lose your vision like your dad, since, there's this hereditary disease? And she said, and her response was, I don't think that I'm going to go blind, but if I do, I know I'll do the best I can.
And I think that's something different about you too, Richard, that, I think needs to be shared. You're the type of a person who cares even when it is inconvenient for you. And that's rare. For a lot of folks that I've met and even friends, it's easy to care when it's convenient. And even, this goes for me too, but you're the type of person who cares even when it is inconvenient to yourself. Why? Why do you care so much?
I have this conversation sometimes with people about this whole idea of loving other people. There's this kind of Mr. Rogers sort of love I think that we should all emulate. I don't know. I just feel really called to hopefully help someone in a significant way. One of the things that you learn as a young Marine Corps officer is the true test of a leader is what happens in their absence, not what happens in your presence.
Because I keep hearing you say, I should be doing so much more, I should be doing so much more, but you already do more than 99.99% of the population. How do you stop yourself from judging other people who are not doing as much, or do you judge from time to time, and then what do you do with that judgment? How does that work for you?
I'm the type of person that has the ability to see the strengths in others. So I will notice, I can notice, people's, hearts and strengths, in terms of their, some of their character strengths, and not drawing so much attention to the negatives. And I think it just comes from a place of knowing that I have my own insecurities. I have my own flaws. I'm no better than anybody else.
Why is integrity important to you?
It was just drilled into my head as a kid. It's actually one of the core leadership principles in the Marines. If you value honesty and integrity, decisions become so much easier, because you think, what is the right thing to do? What is the honest thing to do?
What's your legacy going to be?
Things like United in Stride, for example. I hope that United in Stride, or some form of United in Stride, as it changes in the future, that allows people to independently network, to have sighted guides and blind runners. I hope that continues, even if it's not associated with me at all. A lot of people may not even know that I'm the founder of United in Stride. I just hope that others take things that I've done and they improve upon them.
Question: Why do you choose me as a friend? How do I get so lucky to be Richard Hunter's friend?
Oh gosh, Jason, you're one of these people that I personally do trust. it's funny, and plus you motivate, inspire so many people, and you have a heart to serve others. I mean, I've seen that play out. You're the reason I ran 100 miles. You're the reason I knew that that was possible. It's because I ran that 50 miles with you.
I don't think maybe in life enough we thank other people for being, part of our journeys, but for you in particular, I want to thank you because I talk a lot actually about you with my kids, with my mom, with close friends, and some people have never even met you, but the impact that you've had on my life and for giving me hope with my journey with RP and losing my eyesight is nothing short of extraordinary. And I'm grateful for you, Richard. So I want you to hear that. But if there's one thing that you could tell the world, what would that be?
I think that there's not enough love in this world, and I just think people really need to love others better.
We're going to close with that one, Richard.